Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla. So, Tesla just held their earnings call, and as expected, records all around and blew all expectation. But Elon was also on the earnings call this time, and we did get a lot of new information about the future. So let's check them all out and let's dive right in. So let's start by getting a little overview of this quarter, and we're going to focus on some of the many numbers that I think is the most interesting. So we knew the deliveries that ended up only 50 units higher than what they have already announced, so 308,650 units. But Tesla ended up with a total revenue of $17.7 billion in Q4. That is about 4 billion higher than the previous record and about 7 billion higher than Q4 2020. So in just 1 year, Tesla has grew their profits by 137% quarter over quarter. But a number I always look at is EBITDA, because that really is the health of the company, the bottom line. And you can have a lot of revenue, or you can even have a lot of profit and still have a bad EBITDA if you don't run your company very well. But Tesla does run their company very well. They just had over $4 billion in EBITDA. That is also up over 100% from Q4 2020. And the entire year, Tesla had $11.6 billion in EBITDA from $53.8 billion in revenue. Just 2 years ago, Tesla had $24.5 billion in revenue, total revenue, but only about $3 billion in EBITDA. So their EBITDA was 8 times smaller than their revenue in 2018, but now they are about 4.5 times smaller than the total revenue. Now that is a healthy, growing business. And $11.6 billion in EBITDA is actually very close to what Tesla's total revenue was in 2017, only 4 years ago, when they had $11.7 billion in total revenue. All their Q4 EBITDA is about $1 billion bigger than the entire year of 2019's EBITDA. What a growth story, and what a healthy growth that is. So all of the growth and expansion and ramping up and building factory is not taking a hit at Tesla's financial. Actually, Tesla is now down to $5.2 billion in debt, down $1.2 billion in Q4. And at the same time, their cash and cash equivalent is now $17.5 billion. So they are building 2 new factories, ramping up production, and at the same time, they're paying off debt, and their cash on hands just grew. Just amazing. This really shows us just how well run Tesla is and what a healthy financial situation they're in. And I think this little chart from Tesla here shows very well what Tesla is doing. And as they wrote, manufacturing is Tesla's critical core competency, as EV were often deemed structurally unprofitable due to expensive batteries, as the short sellers also deemed Tesla. But we were convinced that manufacturing, innovation, purpose-built vehicles and factories would solve cost concerns. And in Q3 2021, the last widely reported quarter, Tesla achieved the highest operating margin across all volume OEMs. Wow. So even though everyone is struggling to make money selling EVs, Tesla is already earning more money selling only EVs than any other OEM is earning on selling ICE cars. So while every one of the legacy automakers are spending $1 billion on the switch to EVs and just adding to their already big pile of debt, Tesla is adding money to their bank account, paying off debt, and doubling their profitability. A good indication of just how good Tesla is doing financially is that their revenue grew 71%, which is very good. I think most companies would kill to grow their revenue with 71% in just 1 year, but their EBITDA grew 100%. So their bottom line grew more than the entire revenue. And as I have made several videos about, this should not come as a surprise, as Tesla tried to make the manufacturing of their cars more efficient every single week, something the old boys do not cannot, and this will help Tesla get better and better gross margins every single quarter, not only because of the economy of scale, but also because Tesla can make changes to their product every single day if they want to, at almost no cost, because of the way they have set up their factories with these production cells instead of production lines. And this shows. Now Tesla has the best operating margin in the industry, even though short sellers were laughing at Tesla and say they will never be profitable only a couple of years ago. And as Elon said, 2021 was a breakthrough year for Tesla. There should no longer be any doubt that the viability and profitability of electric vehicles. Exactly. There are no more excuses. Now it's time to execute. Tesla has shown the way by becoming the OEM with the best operating margin in the industry, with only sales of electric vehicles. And when it comes to production, we did get some great information from Tesla, and Tesla again said they should be able to comfortably grow 50%, and they should be able to do that with only the Shanghai and Fremont factory. So they did just confirm some of the crazy run rates we have seen and talked about before, as they said their factories have been running below capacity for several quarters as the supply chain became a limiting factor, which will likely continue through 2022. So we will see how it all goes, but Elon did sound quite optimistic about the chip shortage. But again, those two factories on their own should be able to produce 1.4 million cars. And many of the Wall Street analysts have Tesla for 1.3 million in 2022. And Tesla did say they should comfortably get over 50% this year, just as they said last year, and they ended up growing 87%. And Tesla did confirm that they are producing the Model Ys at both Berlin and Texas factory right now and are just waiting for last approvals. But expect that the Texas factory to start deliveries this quarter. And those Model Ys coming out of the Giga Texas factory, as I thought, will be the 4680 cells. So they do have enough from the Cairo facility to get going as expected, and they are already taking the first steps at the 4680 production line at the Giga Texas factory. So that is going to be very exciting to follow. But they did also confirm that the Model Y coming out of the Berlin factory will not have the 4680 cell but the 2170 cell, and are still waiting for the final approval for volume production. And they did say, as we have talked about before, because Elon have mentioned it before, that Tesla will have access to twice as many batteries from suppliers in 2022. So their ramp up in 2022 to get over the 50% growth is not limited by the 4680 production line, but only limited by supply chain issues if they should occur. And scaling is Tesla's main focus in 2022, which it of course should be. But they did say that for them to be able to do that, they will not be focusing on coming out with new products, because that would only slow them down. You know, like GM is doing, wanting to make 30 different models. That will only complicate things for them and slow them down, and they will not be able to scale up as fast. But Tesla has another approach. They will focus all their effort on scaling and not introduce new products before they feel they can comfortably do so. So that could mean that we will not get to see the Cybertruck this year either. But maybe at the end of the year, if everything is running smoothly, they could surprise us with the start of the production and only do volume production in 2023, as they have said before. So not really a big surprise, but what was a surprise was that Elon said that they do expect to eventually be able to produce about 1 million Cybertrucks a year. Before, we have only heard 300,000. So even though they might not be volume production this year, this should still be very good news for all reservation holders, because they will be able to produce a lot more than we first thought. So they should be able to get through the pre-orders much faster than first anticipated. So that's good. And they did also mention the semi-truck as the new model that will not be introduced. But I do think they are sandbagging things here, as they tend to do in some areas. We have seen them getting everything ready. The 4 mega chargers are ready at the Nevada factory, and we have seen them do some limited production of the semi-truck at the Nevada factory, and Tesla just showed this nice pictures of their 4 semi-trucks. So I still think we will see this product this year, but just not in any volume production. But it all of course depends on the ramp of the 4680 cells, because that is what's going into the semi and the Cybertruck, and they will of course focus on using the 4680 cells they have right now to get the Model Y production off the ground in Texas, and not risking that production ramp to get a few semi-trucks off the assembly line. But we will see how this all goes. But Elon did also say that the most important product this year is the Tesla robot, Optimus Prime. Also because, as Elon said, the implication of the robot is going to be absolutely huge, maybe even limitless. As I also made a whole video about just how huge it could become, comparing Tesla to Chome, especially when we put SpaceX in the mix as well. And Tesla will be able to pretty much just make more workforce. They don't have to hire a lot of people and pay them a lot of money for working for them. They can just build more workers. The implications here are so huge, it's hard to wrap your head around, and that is why Elon is saying this is their most important project. And as Elon said, the robot will start by working at Tesla, where they can test it out and it can learn and help pushing things around and doing boring and dangerous work at the factories. So that is one of their most important products they are focusing on this year. Man, that is just so exciting, because as Elon said, this will become much bigger than any of the other businesses Tesla has. And just the last couple of things I will mention here from the earnings call is that Elon said that he is very confident that Tesla will have full self-driving this year. It is of course very hard to predict, as we have seen from Elon before, but I would very much like to think that this is the year. Also because if you have followed my channel, you would know that that is my bet, that they will have a full self-driving car ready by the end of 2022, because we have also seen just how good the beta program has become. And as I made a whole video about explaining just how AI learns, and by understanding that, we do know they learn in an exponential curve. And as many other AI programs, as soon as they get close to a human level, suddenly they pick up speed and take off like a rocket, and that is where Tesla is at right now, in my opinion. And they have also just made 60,000 persons as beta testers in Q4 instead of only a couple of thousand last quarter. So the data they will get in is also going to go up exponentially from here on out. So it will learn so fast, it will be at a very different level at the end of this year. And the very last thing I will mention is that Tesla said they will start working on finding new factories this year. So they hope they will be able to announce a new factory by the end of this year. Very exciting, and man, what an exciting year we have to look forward to. Not just to see Tesla continue their extremely fast growth and ramp up even more and opening 2 new factories, but also to see how full self-driving evolves this year. And we should get to see a prototype of the Tesla humanoid robot, and to see how the ramp of the 4680 cell will go. The most important battery of this decade. So much to talk about this year. I can't wait to share it all with you guys. But what a quarter, Q4 was and what a year 2021 was. Tesla absolutely knocked it out of the park in 2021. But now it will all pale compared to what is coming.
And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.